Well, a really warm welcome to everyone who's joining us for our RTC session today, Digital Workbooks with Numbers. So let's just have a little introduction. So my name's Tim Lings. I'm Director of IT here at Heronsgate Primary School, and I'm joined by...
Hi there, Ralph Corish, Year 5 teacher here at Heronsgate as well, and part of the computing team along with Tim.
Fantastic. Lovely new microphone there, Ralph.
Oh yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. New toys.
New toys. So Heronsgate Primary School, we're an EdTech demonstrator school, which means that we receive some funding from the DFE to help support other schools in managing remote learning in these interesting times that we are in. So the EdTech demonstrator program is a network of schools and colleges across England who are showing effective practice in the use of technology. And the program offers peer-to-peer support on the effective use of technology, including remote education. So if you are from a school in England and you would like some support on how to make the most of your home learning provision with technology, do fill in this form here. Basically, you visit the EdTech site and you can register your interest, and from there you will be contacted by someone and matched up with a school. It could be Heronsgate, but it could also not be. There's loads of schools around the UK who will be willing to help. We are also an Apple Regional Training Centre. So these are centres across the UK and Ireland that aim to help teachers kind of develop their Apple skills to use technology inside and outside the classroom as best they can. So today we're going to have a look at Apple Teacher, get our heads around digital workbooks with numbers, and then earn an Apple Teacher badge. So there's a Q&A button that we will be using, and a raise hand button that we might use. We're not using the chat button today, so I haven't highlighted that. Excellent. This is the right question. What is your experience in using the Numbers app? Okay, so any second now, a poll should appear on your screen, and I want you to tell us, what is your experience using the Numbers app? I've never heard of it. I've maybe used it once. I've used it a few times. I use it quite regularly as a spreadsheet app. I am a super user with Numbers. So 50% of people have voted already. Excellent. Fantastic. Yeah, a few more seconds. Everyone have a little vote. Great. Okay, I'm just going to end the poll now. A little lightning poll, and I'm just going to share that with everyone. So 60% of you have used it a few times. Well, that's good. No one says they're a super user. Fine. It is possibly my favorite app. I use it a lot, but anyway, okay. But at this point, it might be helpful to explain what the Numbers app. So it's basically Apple's version of Excel. It works on iPad, Mac, and also iCloud.com, so you can use it on the web as well. But what makes it really interesting in an educational setting is that it's basically a free-form canvas that you can add tables, text, images, graphs, videos, etc., all onto one place, which adds all kinds of interesting opportunities. So my question in the Q&A, how could an app like that be useful in the classroom? How could it be useful to have an app that's basically a blank page you can put all kinds of basically anything you can think of could end up on there? How could that be useful? So if you want to just click on the Q&A and post any thoughts that you have. Just going to shut the window. If anyone's got any thoughts about how it could be useful.
One thing that while people are typing that we didn't talk about earlier that I've used it for recently is when doing polls in the class, and if we were doing some tasting things, getting children to sort of rate things that they were eating. We did it in design and technology. We used it where we had a few samples. They were trying to work out what they were going to put into their dish, and they were tasting all the different raw ingredients, and they were putting star ratings down for like the different foods, about how it tasted, how it smelled, whether or not they thought it would work in their dish, and then they sort of used the Numbers app to collate all that information and explain why they were then going to choose those ingredients for their dish. So something perhaps we didn't talk about earlier, but maybe some design and technology as well.
Brilliant. Marian's just shared that it could be used for maths digital worksheets. So I guess that could be that you could put kind of different questions on there that students have to find answer, or as a way for them to represent using a graph what they've found perhaps. Tolu's saying it can be used for scaffolded tasks like lab activities. Yep, brilliant. So you can build different sheets within your spreadsheet that have got different tasks that students have to complete, perhaps complete a table or put a drawing here, take a photo, add it in here. So there's all kinds of possibilities. Fantastic. Thank you very much for people contributing. That's lovely. Now, we're going to have a go later on today trying to get our Apple Teacher badge. So Apple Teacher is a free self-paced professional learning program that offers unlimited access to learning materials and content for using technology in the classroom. So it's basically some online CPD from Apple. It covers the basics of using either iPad or Mac and the core Apple apps. So that's Pages, Numbers, Keynote, GarageBand, and iMovie. You can access all kinds of learning resources there. Then you can take a 5-question quiz at the end to earn some badges. And if you get all 6 badges, you are then officially an Apple Teacher. So that's something for us to look forward to later on. So you visit appleteacher.apple.com. You have to sign in with an Apple ID. And if your school has managed Apple IDs, I believe you can now do that with that. So that's nice. So today, looking at numbers, let's just have a quick think about the basics. So when you first open the Numbers app, it will ask you where you want to save your documents. So choose from iCloud or on your iPad, etc. And then you tap the big plus to make a new document, and a whole load of templates pop up, and you can just choose a blank one, or there's a few really fun ones that are pre-built. Once you've added on that, you just double tap cells to edit them. And what's really nice is that the keyboard, the software keyboard, you can have a text keyboard, or you can press the button and have a numeric keyboard, which has got a lot easier to enter those numbers. And then you've got access to things like a star, tick box, the percentage button, pound sign, etc. That's really handy. And if you want to get rid of it, you can just dismiss it from the bottom there. And one thing I also really like about numbers is that each table can be resized to the size you want it. It's not just this huge, never-ending table, but if you only want 2 columns, you can just tap and drag along that little button there, and it makes it only 2 columns or only 5 rows, etc. You can do that. So you can basically do some tidying. I like to have a nice tidy spreadsheet. And then you can have multiple tables on a sheet that don't kind of interact with each other, which is also really handy. And then in terms of formatting, it's very similar to Pages and Keynote. So whatever you want to change the formatting on, make sure it's selected, then tap the format button, that little paintbrush. You can choose existing table styles, so it sets, you know, the nice color at the heading, etc. You can add a title if you just turn that button on. You can change the number format. So this is useful if you've got a column of money, you can make it so that it's formatted as money, so it puts the pound sign in, or if it's a percentage, or if it's got, you only want 1 decimal place or whatever, you can set those kind of controls. And then last of all, there's this really handy button. It's kind of a quick action button. So this changes depending on what it is. So if it's a cell, it will just say cell there. If it's a table, it will just say table. But it basically brings up, it's kind of like the right click for an iPad, let's be honest. So it brings up kind of copy paste and then a lot of other handy buttons. So I think it's time to have a little demo. Right, so I'm opening up the Numbers app and I'm going to create my spreadsheet. And it brings up my template. And as you can see here, there's all kinds of fun stuff. I could keep a track of my running log, how my 5K is going, etc. And a lot of these will have kind of pre-built formulas so that you kind of fill it in. Whole lot of fun, but we're going to start with just a blank one. And I thought that we could explore how we might perhaps do a little science experiment all about growing plants. So this is my table. I'm going to give this table a name. In fact, I'm going to give this document a name. So it says blank at the top. I'm just going to tap there, rename it, and I'm going to call it growing plants. Lovely. And then I'm now going to add some data here. So it might be that I've got a couple of different plants. Maybe I've got plant 1 and plant 2. So I'm just double tapping to enter that there. And then in my column here, I'm going to do the different days that it appears. So I could tap that 1, 2, 3 button. And oh no, actually there's even a time one. That's really nice. So I can make it so it's today, and then I can add a day. If that makes sense. So it's all kind of really powerful ways that you can. I think Friday, that's enough. And then what I want to do is I want all of these cells here. So I'm just dragging on that little blue dot to select them. Tap on the format button. I'm going to change the format, and I'm going to make these as length. So I think if there isn't actually one of them, let's just have it's a number, fine. So these are in centimeters, so it starts off being 5, and then it just grows a little bit. It's getting quite fast as it grows this week. Maybe it's some kind of weed. And this one is pretty slow, etc. So I'm just putting together some data here. If I double tap on the title of my table, I can call it my data. Look at that, lovely. And then when the table is selected, you see you've got these little 2 lines here. I can drag that along, get rid of the unwanted columns. Same for the rows. And there I've got my table just as I want it. And if I press on the little circle at the top left, I can move it around the screen as well. And maybe last of all, I want to just change that formatting, make it blue. Look at that, it's already looking pretty. So it's that simple to just throw together a table and make it look fantastic. Right, I'm now going to hand over to you, Ralph. So I'm going to stop my share, hopefully.
My table is similar to yours, so we worked well together there, the one I prepared earlier. So let's share this screen and let's just get onto the right page on it. Okay, share, and hopefully, there we go, lovely. So I'm going to quickly pop through a couple of the next couple of topics, and it's to do with the creating some formulas and creating some charts. So obviously we know if you've used numbers or Excel before, that one of the things to be able to do is be able to present that learning in a nice way. You want to be able to present it in a user-friendly way so that the children understand what they're showing off, but also people who are seeing it can see it clearly. And numbers is good for that. I particularly like the way it does formulas on the iPads as well. So just have a little look. Like, I'll do the same thing as Tim did. I'll go through a couple of basics on these slides, and then I'll try and demo it on the iPad itself. So as you can see here, just one to start with, we've got all of these different cells lit up in different colors. That's because they've had a formula created for them, and you can see that they are all adding together, and the bottom there is the total responses. So let's see how we do that then. So tap equals button to enter formulas. There's a few different ways of doing it, but we will look into that. And then you tap on the cells to build your formula, whereas before perhaps you would be trying to type things in and you'd have to get it the exact right formula when you're typing it, or it just wouldn't work, and you'd have that cell syntax error and everything like that. A bit complicated, and you never quite knew how to fix it. This is a lot more straightforward because you're just tapping on the cells that you want to use, and then you can see the bar underneath those tabs saying what you'd like to do, maybe add, take away, multiply, divide, brackets, and so on. And then tap cell action for quick formulas. That's what we're going to focus on today. Is we're going to focus on those quick formulas. And tap the green tick when you're all done. So we'll have a little look at that in a second. But we're also going to have a quick look at charts as well, to create a sort of chart to show off the data that you have produced whilst growing these plants in your science lesson. So we've got an example on here. I'm going to do a bar one, but this is I don't know exactly what the name for that kind of chart is. It's like a pie chart, but it's got a hole in the middle.
It's called a donut chart.
Oh, is it? Excellent. I was going to say polo, so different.
I might be entirely making that up. Let me just...
well, let's call it a donut chart for now. But so yeah, a clear way of showing here, for example, the frequency of different colors on something. But on our one, we're going to show the growth of the plants that we have been growing over this period of time in our science learning. So you want to select the data you want visualized, makes sense. So you just select that and then tap plus, as you can see up there, the plus button, which will then give you a choice of what you want to create. You want to press the chart button, which we'll have a look at in a second, and then tap on chart and edit reference to change how the data is arranged if you so want to. And then the format button to change the style again if we want to. So let's have a little demo of that then. Let's have a little demo. So I've got a little one sort of created similarly to how Tim just did. I've done it slightly differently, but similar all the same. So I've got plant locations such as classroom windowsill, classroom cupboard, radiator, outside classroom, sinks, all those things that when you're growing plants with children, I remember doing this in a year 3 lesson a few years ago. or a set of lessons over a period of time. We were watching the plants grow and seeing how far they grew. And you can fill in, obviously, in all the boxes. And then at the end, you've got your total height. Now, it's always something in one of these that Tim teaches me. And I didn't know that you could do the dates like that. So while Tim was beavering away on his previous set of slides, I added in those dates because that looked far neater than week 1, week 2, week 3, and week 4. So thank you, Tim. That's my lesson learned for today, adding those dates in. So we're just going to quickly just add in some things. You've got here, go numbers and height of plants. So this is how far they've grown. This is how far they've grown. Now, I should probably have put millimeters in the bar at the top, but I'm just going to put them. This one's going to have grown 6 millimeters in the first week, 9 millimeters in the second week. It's going to have grown again 9 again, and then 11 millimeters. So I want to know what the total height is. Now, obviously, we could add that up, but if you've got more complicated numbers, or you want the children to let the spreadsheet do the job, then we can now add all those up using a formula. So what I want to do is I want to press the cell button, like I said, which you can see, the cell just on the right there, press it, and new formula. So now I can see, I told you we have to tap the cells in order to get our total height. So what I want to do is I want to add those 4 cells. So in order to do that, I'm going to tap on the first one, and it recognizes that I'm going to want to add that one. Now, because I'm adding, I could just tap the next one because it automatically assumes you're going to add. However, if I wasn't adding, I'd need to press one of those other things, but I'm going to press plus anyway, just as a good example. Then the next one, I'm going to press add again to the next one, and then I'm going to press add again to the next one. And now, as we said before, when we're done, we have to press the green tick, and the green tick means that we're finished. And you can see here, total height in millimeters, the classroom windowsill has grown 35 millimeters in that period of time. Now, I'm just going to quickly add a couple more heights just so that we can then explore the charts. So I'm just going to add a few more numbers very quickly. 15 in the cupboard, 3 on the radiator. It didn't like the radiator at all. Outside, it might have really enjoyed that nice spring weather that we've got this time of year, as if. And then the sink, well, it didn't grow at all in the sink because it was full of water. Or maybe it grew 1. It grew 1 millimeter. Okay, so there we've got our total heights for the plants grown over the period of time. And what I would like to do now is I'd like to create a chart. As you can see, I've actually already created one, but I'll do it again. The total height, I want a chart for the total height. So I'm selecting all these cells there. These are the ones that I want my chart for. I'm going to press the add button at the top, that plus button at the top. Now I've got a choice here of different things. As you can see, that's for a new table, that first one. I want to go to the second one, which shows the different charts. And maybe we'll go with the donut because you can see I've done the bar one. So let's go with the donut and see how we've created it. So it's done it there in essentially the different heights, showing how well each one has done, And I've also done it as a bar on the top here in the total heights. We can see it represents it in different ways depending on how you want to do it. I think the bar shows it the most clearly about which one has done the best. The outside classroom is showing that it's the highest one. So that's one way of showing that data using those charts. Okay, I'm going to stop the sharing and then I'm going to pass over back to Mr. Lings.
I'm going to go off mute. Thank you very much. Right, I'm just going to click lots of buttons here and share my iPad.
We've got too many.
Doing well today. We're having a top technology time. Okay, so now we're going to think about shapes. So this is really fun about numbers. So we've done some spreadsheety stuff. If you really like spreadsheets and formulas and all those things, it basically matches feature for feature what Excel can do pretty much. I mean, I think if you're doing like extreme pivot tables, you might have a bit of trouble. But usually if I'm like, how do I do that in a spreadsheet? do a quick Google, find the Excel-like formulas, and then it just works the same in numbers. So it's just, that's useful to know. And there's all kinds of formula browsers that you can look through and pull out all of the great terms. But if you're using this for your digital workbook, you might not be focusing so much on the formulas, but actually how you can use this blank canvas to do stuff. So here I'm showing how, if you tap on the plus, you can add all kinds of stuff like shapes, and you've got your hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of shapes. There is a lovely browser, so you can browse by categories or search. You just tap to add, and then when you're done, you tap on the format button to change the style. And that means you can have a whole lot of fun and make your document really stand out. And you can also do drawing. This is really good fun. If you've got an Apple Pencil, it works straight away. But if you're using your finger, you just tap on plus, then the little media button, and then you add a drawing. Then you've got tools at the bottom. If you tap them twice, it brings up further options. But basically along the bottom, and you can also choose the color. You've got a pencil tool, a pen tool, a crayon tool, a fill tool, an eraser, a select tool. All useful stuff. And actually, if you use Pages and Keynote, you'll find that they're all the same tools. So it's just really useful to kind of know what's going on. And then when you're done, press done. So let me have a little go at demoing some of those shapes. So here's my data, all about plants. And I think it might be nice if I press the plus button to add some nice shapes to do with plants. So if I go along here, you see you've got animals, nature, food. So I wonder if I can search, and let's see if the word plant brings up anything. Yeah, look at that. So we've got things like leaves and stuff like that. Bamboo, that's a good symbol for growing, isn't it? But black bamboo, maybe that's the style I'm going for. I think a green might look nice. So when it's selected, I can tap on the paintbrush and make it green. And then maybe I could, this one looks quite nice. Maybe I'll go for a different color, all kinds of ones to choose from. So I can kind of go to town, and I can always like resize them, move them around, and generally make my spreadsheet look really fabulous. You can also do fun things like break shapes apart and discover how they're made up, and then take bits and customize them. This is arrange. Okay, not all of them, but some of them are kind of combined with different shapes, and you can then see what's going on. So there's a lot of power there. And then I was going to show you drawing. So if I tap again on the plus, then I tap on the media button, the kind of photograph one, and you've got all kind of options, and one of them is drawing. So here it brings up my little drawing toolbar, which I can move around the screen to exactly where I want it. And I'm just going to show you the fill tool here, which you might think, what's the point of that? But actually it's really great. So if I'm just going to zoom in a little bit here, and say I wanted to draw a nice plant, I could draw a leaf, there we go, and another leaf. And so because it basically just draws a shape, how you're doing your drawing, let's think, maybe have a nice pale leaves. So I can basically draw those shapes, and very easily, sorry, Mr. Tables, I draw over you, kind of create something that's just quite nice. And especially if you've got an Apple Pencil, I mean, I'm not going to win any awards for drawing, let's be honest. But that fill tool is just a really easy way to kind of build up shapes, and as you layer them up, you can start to do something. Thank you, Mr. Koresh. Don't forget as well, you press them twice, you get kind of options. So you've got an object eraser, so you can just basically delete the whole thing rather than bit at a time. The select tool is quite useful to kind of select certain parts, move them away. But again, I think you've even got like an annotation tool. So this you can, if you're a teacher, kind of give that feedback. Oh, you can actually write. I'm just going to see what happens. Maybe you actually need to have an Apple Pencil. Okay, I'm just going to ignore that button for now. But there we go, that's drawing for you. And I'm now going to hand over back to Mr. Koresh.
Okay, just, oh, sorry, I was just quickly telling our caretaker not to lock us in the building as he was going around locking the school up. Right, so let's go back to our slides, and we are on record media. Excellent. So sharing screen. Share. And hopefully, it would help if I pressed the share button instead of just stared at it. This will now come back up onto my iPad. Yeah, lovely, excellent, good. So as Tim was saying, one of the really good things about numbers is it's this free sort of canvas to add all sorts of different stuff on. You're not just adding tables or charts or and drawings. You can add some media as well. You can add videos onto it, voice notes, and you can move it all around so that it's presented in a way that is satisfactory to you. So here we've got our different options. So before we had that plus button for the charts, that was that second one in that looks a bit like a pie chart on that picture. And then Tim did some shapes, which is the third one along. Now the fourth one along is adding the media, different options. So you've got photos or videos. You can just use it straight camera. So maybe if the children are actually doing their plants, they're recording how the plants are growing. For each one, they could each week they could maybe assign a picture of the plants for each different week, so that they can show off what they look like each week. A really good way of demoing science is making sure that you show what you are doing. And then there's the record audio button as well. You can also embed a web video, get your images as well. And then there's the drawing and the equation. Did you do the drawing, Tim? Yeah, I thought you did.
Yes.
So as we said, tap and then media, different options. I've beaten the slides to it with what I said. So we'll then go on to the sheets. And so instead of it just being one blank canvas, we can have many canvases. And as you can see at the top there, if we press tap the plus and then add a new sheet in that corner, we don't just have one, we can have many. So it could be that if we're doing this science experiment, we could have the sort of preliminary work, the questions that the children want to find out, what are they going to try and learn from this, some predictions. Then maybe the second one is all to do with the results, having done the experiments and growing the plants and showing off what they're doing as they're doing it. And then maybe the third one could be the conclusions with more voice notes, with more videos, getting the children to explain what it is they've learned from that experiment. So you can have it as a more interactive set of sheets. So same as lots of things, if you double tap, gives you the option to rename it. And then you can duplicate them potentially. If you wanted to duplicate the sheets, you can do that as well. And then in it, we can add all those different things that we've already looked at. So let's have a final demo and discuss before we move on to our Apple Teacher badge. So going back to the slides that the one I created earlier, where we've got our table and our charts here. The first thing we said we'd like to do is we wanted to record some media. So here are our different options: photo, video, camera, record audio. So if I have this camera here and I want to press the camera button, and see how I'm going to have this lovely picture of my innocent drink full of water. Excellent. So I want to use that photo, and there it is. It's come on there. Beautiful. So I can resize it and move it into any area that I like. I think it matches my donut perfectly there. So I'm going to move it there, but I could move it anywhere around. As Tim said, it's a whole blank canvas. So I could put it over here if I had other stuff attributing to it. Again, going back, I could record audio. So the plant that was placed outside the outside classroom was the one that grew the best. This tells me that plants require fresh air to grow healthily and strong. Stop. Okay, and I could preview it, I can edit it, but then if you look at the top right there, it says insert. I'm going to insert it, and you can see it's got this here. I'm just going to put that here, and that's going to show me what the table is showing. Fantastic. And we said as also you can have multiple sheets. So you can see here I've got sheet 1. So if I double tap sheet 1, I can rename it. I'm going to call this the results table. the results sheet. Just call it results. Fantastic. Lower it down. Now I want to add a new one. I want a conclusion sheet. So new sheet. And again, it automatically comes up with that table, but if we don't need the table, then we can get rid of it. Double tap. And I'm going to call this the conclusion sheet. Again, I don't need to add the word sheet. I can just call it conclusion. Fantastic. And then we also said with this, if we want to, perhaps, there we go, we could duplicate it. So press the duplicate here, results 1. There may be a reason for wanting to do that if you wanted to have a few tweaks around. So that's how we can do that. And as I said, we can then on this do everything we've just done on the other one, add all the different tables, charts and media, and yeah, everything that we could do on the first sheet we can do on this one and make it fully interactive. And as I say, it can take us through the whole journey of start to finish on our science experiment. So Tim, I think I will pass that back to you now.
Wonderful. As I go off mute, let's remember to do that. Here we go.
Always
So let's earn that Apple Teacher badge. So this is a chance for us to earn the Apple Teacher badge, as I said. So we're going to open up appleteacher.apple.com. I have pre-signed in with an Apple ID, just so you don't have to watch me typing in our particularly long school email address. And when you've signed in, you've signed up for an account already. We're going to earn badges for iPad. So I'm going to tap on that. And we've done pages and iPad so far, but we're going to move on to numbers now. We'll come back and do Keynote in the summer, I think, after a brief hiatus. So as you go down here, you see it covers all the same kind of learning areas that we've already looked at today. I think we didn't look at functions, so hopefully there won't be a question about that. But there we go. So take the quiz, earn your badge. So we keep going down and we're going to earn your badge. Right. So first question, question 1, you're using a spreadsheet to track a project, much like what we've been discussing today. How to raise funds for the drama club. One column contains the expenses for the next production. How can you format these cells to display currency? Identify the correct order of the following steps. So we want to format these cells to display currency. So we're going to select the cells, I reckon, first. Oh, I'm trying to do this with a mouse on my screen share. That's not going to work. So we're going to select the cells. Then we're going to tap, format in the toolbar, I reckon. Tap format to see cell formatting options and then choose currency. Maybe if I just show you that. So I'm select some cells. I select them first. Oh, what am I doing? Drawing everywhere. So I then tap format button, format currency. Yeah, I reckon that's going to be right.
And that's right to me.
Let's have a go. So I've got to submit it. It's going to have a little think. Correct. All right. So at this point, we're now going to open it to the floor. So we'll perhaps start off with Q&A if you want to post what you think the answer is. Your students are working on a report and want to add charts to summarize the information quickly and beautifully. Notice the little beautiful there. Which of the following is not a chart formatting option? Choose one. So style, title, opacity, labels. Which one is not formatting? So I'm not going to even just scroll down and show you. Hang on. Chart formatting option. I'm having a bit of a moment here. Okay.
Your thing is having a proper moment there.
So if you tapped on the chart and tapped the format button, what were some of the options? Which one would not show up? So if you feel like you know the answer, type it in the Q&A and let's see if there are any takers. Answer this question. It's tricky, that's for sure. Maybe it's too tricky. Oh no, okay. Opacity, Marion seems to think. Okay, good. Well, you were first. Let's go for fastest fingers first. So well done. Let's have a try. Opacity, we reckon it's opacity. Submit answer. Well done. Excellent. Students can add another layer to their charts, etc. Good, wonderful. Okay, next, question 3. I'm clicking on my screen share again. This is too many layers of computers here. Your students are conducting a paper aeroplane experiment. You want them to document the effect of design, paper type, and wingspan on the flight time and distance. How can they separate the project into different sheets and visualize the data? So who would like to talk us through? So if you would like to, you need to click the hands up button, and then you need to, if you would like to, I can then click a button and say allow to talk, and then you can talk us through what the answers are. So you've got 3 options: sheet, table, and chart. First, create a spreadsheet. Next, add a new. Da, da, da. So any brave participants want to take part at this point? Put your hand up. Anyone?
Go on, let's see. That'd be great.
Like to contribute. Is it just going to be me and you, Ralph? Well, Ralph, you talk me through. What do you think? Oh no! Oh, someone's popped their hand up. Oh, Claire Hendry. Okay, right. I'm going to allow you to talk. So Claire, the mic is yours. If you just like to come on off mute.
Am I off mute?
You are off mute.
Excellent. So first create a spreadsheet.
Yep.
A new sheet for each research part of the experiment. Finally, add a table to help organise the data and a chart to visualise results.
Let's give that a try.
I tell you what, that question was made for what we did today, really, wasn't it?
Good. Brilliant. Thank you very much, Claire. Fantastic. Thank you. Nicely done. So you only have to get 4 out of 5 right. So there's still a lot
more.
Still just more to play with. Okay. So let's try. Your students are working on a lab report and you want them to add multiple kinds of media to document their process and present their findings. Which of the following methods can they use to add photos, videos, and audio recordings to their spreadsheet? So I think this will be go to Q&A one. So pop your answers in the Q&A, all that apply. Add an audio recording with record audio. Add photos and videos located in the photo library. Add photos and videos using Control Center. Take a photo or video to bring the numbers up. Add photos and video with screen mirroring.
So a couple of
little ones there. So you reckon
there,
1, 2, and 4. That's what Noah reckons. Sorry, Tolu reckons. I think we're just going to go for it.
I think 1, 2, and 4 looks good to me.
Audio recordings, Control Center, and screen mirroring, I think, is something else. Let's have a go. Thank you, Tolu. Nicely done. Okay, and last question. We're going to go for 5 out of 5 here. The students in your class have added their height to a table in a collaborative spreadsheet. We didn't talk about collaboration. You've selected the data and now you want to add a formula that calculates the average class height. Which button can you tap to access quick formulas such as sum, average, and product? This is tricky.
I think I showed this one off.
So I think for this one, I'm just going to put you on the spot, Ralph. What do you think?
I would go with the last one of those options.
You reckon? Well, it can't be a table action because that won't give you a formula. Format, not that. The ... is like more for like exporting and stuff. Let's go for cell. Submit answer. Well done. That means 5 out of 5. They're quickly just adding up 5 out of 5. Is that right? Wait.
Does that mean that you passed? I think it does.
Congratulations. You've earned your numbers for iPad badge. Whoop, whoop.
1 down, 5 to go.
That's great. Well, I think we've already got 2. So we are.
To be fair, we've already got a couple of them.
Glad we got that.
What would be next?
Well, so this point, any questions, anybody? So if you have any questions, please pop them in the Q&A and we will endeavour to answer them. So
is there anything that you've seen today that you're like, oh, I wasn't quite sure about that, or there's another question linked to numbers that we didn't come to, then feel free just to post it.
And if there aren't any questions, then perhaps you could pop in the Q&A anything you've learnt about using numbers from today's webinar, something that you learnt today that you didn't know before. Ralph, what have you learned?
Always something, and that was that you could put those dates in the top of the tables. I did not know. I hadn't seen that before, and that was a really nice way of actually showing the sort of results in a sort of organized way, instead of just saying week 1, week 2. Actually giving it exact dates was a really nice touch.
Brilliant. So Marianne's learned how to use formula. It's good. It's very straightforward. In fact, you could even just
Yeah.
put a keyboard plugged in, you just press equals. Sue's learned about the dates and different keyboards, so handy. Audio and shapes. You wouldn't think spreadsheets is where you're going to put a video, but actually once you can, it's like the possibilities are.
There's nothing you can't really put on numbers. It's really, really good. You can totally make it completely immersive and interactive.
And I didn't even show you there's a cool shape connecting tool. So you can have like a text box and another text box and join them up. And then when you move the text boxes around, the line will always go with them. So that's
cool.
good if you want to make
a bit like a poplet kind of thing.
Sorry?
A bit like a poplet kind of.
I'm just going to show you. We've got time. So if I add a shape, I'm just going to add a nice, so we press, we're going to go back to like basic. So we're going to add a nice box.
I'm going to have two things I've learned for today.
Blue. And I'm going to add another box. Let's make this one pink. I want to join them up. And now what I can do is I can add this button here. And the little blue dot you can stick onto boxes. And then they join up. So now if I move this box around, the line goes with it. And I can either do cool stuff like I can make the connection straight or a corner. This is quite fun. So that if you start going around corners, it like does little steps. You can add arrowheads. They've given this a lot of thought. It's really handy if you want to make like a data flow diagram. Let's just say that. But it's quite good as like a brainstorming way of kind of gathering together stuff. There's a lot of stuff in there. Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for participating, particularly those who've raised their hands and done
put things in the questions,
their ideas. So we've got some more webinars coming up. So in a few weeks, if you are interested in how you could use Tapestry in early years and in fact beyond, that's the end of January. We're doing some iMovie in beginning of February and then reaching all learners with iPad at the end of February. I think that's just after half term. Yep. So please do check your emails for a survey and thank you very much for joining us. And if you do want some more support and you are in a school in England, please do follow this link to register for some ongoing support. But thank you very much for joining us this afternoon and we hope to see you on another Greenwich RTC webinar. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.